Welcome to Throwback Thursday, where I take a look at a 90s film and give it a review. And today, folks, we're going back to 1999 with the made-for-TV movie, Dexter's Laboratory, Ego Trip. Like I said, it came out in 1999, and it was technically going to be the finale for Dexter's Lab. Dexter's Laboratory, the TV series, was the finale until they decided to renew it for 2 more seasons later. But yes, and yes, the story here is that Dexter is in his lab, and some robots come from the future and attack him, and he destroys them using his various robots and machines, and decides to go on a trip through time to find out. Because these robots have come through, and they were sent to destroy the one who saves the future, and so, or saves the world in the future, whatever. So he goes through time to the future to try to figure out who, how he saves the future. He believes it's him that saves the future, so he's gonna wants to figure out how he saves the future. So, first and foremost, I want to say that this movie is well done. If this had to be the last thing Dexter's Laboratory did ever, I think I would have been okay with it. Especially because the 2 seasons we got after this were kind of meh. I mean, Christine Cavanaugh didn't return to do the voice of Dexter. The animation was way different. And it was just nothing compared to what it used to be. If it had to go out like this and we didn't get the last 2 seasons, I think I'd be fine. And the story does merit itself. Do a touch and go thing. There's a lot of things that you can figure out if you're smart enough to put it together within the first 2 minutes. But yeah, so let's go through it. So it starts with Dexter in his laboratory where he's attacked by Mandark, who is his rival. They fight, and Dexter ends up winning and says, "Hey, I'm going to get revenge on you." Ha 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 ha. Dexter says, "Yeah, right." And Mandark takes off. Then the robots show up, and they say they want to destroy the one who saves the future. So Dexter uses his machines to destroy them, and then figures, I'm going to go to the future and find out how I save the future. So he goes to the future where he meets a young adult version of himself who is working in a cubicle in an office building owned by Mandark. While they're talking to this young adult version of himself, he finds out that the young adult version of himself has built the special core, a power source. A great power source that he has built it. But Dexter wants to know how he's going to save the future. He tells his young adult self about it. His young adult self is afraid of Mandark, and that's the plot point that's made perfectly clear throughout the film. Somehow, Dexter became a whiny young adult who's afraid of Mandark, which to me doesn't really make sense, but let's keep going. So they decided I gotta go further into the future. And it is important to point out here that young adult Dexter forgets to put the power source back in its hiding spot, and Mandark does find it. So we go into the future, far, far into the future, where they meet an old man Dexter version of themselves. And there's a couple funny things where the old Dexter has to go down a bunch of stairs because he's in the tall towers, and you get in the line, "Who put these stairs here?" And it's a kind of a callback to the Old Man Dexter episode. He's calling him Billy, he has a hard hearing, it's all that kind of things from the episode, which is one of my favorite episodes. But there is a joke that is kind of prolonged, and it's where young adult Dexter and Old Man Dexter are saying hello and hi to each other. Hello, hi! Hello, hi! Hello, hi! It goes on forever. And they do it again at the end when everyone says goodbye to each other. Goodbye, Dexter! Goodbye, Dexter! Goodbye, Dexter! Goodbye, the whole thing. And so they try to ask the old Dexter what happened, and of course, he can't remember. And they also meet a version of Mandark there that is just a brain in a jar type thing with this little thing and wheels. It's interesting, and once you watch the whole thing, you can kind of put it together, because it's kind of out of order how they do it. Well, since the old version of Dexter doesn't remember a damn thing, they gotta go back from this future time into the past they have to go back before the old man Dexter's time, but after the young adult Dexter's time. So to fully fledged adult, 40-something-year-old Dexter's timeline. And when they get there, it's a dystopian world where Mandark, now enormously fat, is the dark overlord of the society. Red skies, robots everywhere, people are living in shambles, and there's one hero out there to save the day, and that is Dexter, who is now big, bulgy, bald, to which the old man Dexter points out that it's a toupee, and he's got this red beard, you know. It looks real cool. And so they decide they have to work together to stop Mandark. So they build this robot, they bash through Mandark's place, and they're face to face with Fat Mandark, who has brought the other versions of himself, the brain version, the young adult version, and the current time version there to fight. And we get this climax where they're fighting in a way, and then there's this one button that you gotta push to save the future. And it amounts to Dexter goes for it, Mandark grabs him. Another Dexter goes for it, and Mandark grabs him. They're each grabbing each other. So it's like a line of them grabbing each other, and it's down to our Dexter that's pointing, and he can't reach it. And then, as M. Night Shyamalan would say, a twist. There is a twist. Yes, sir. Because out of the time machine comes D-Day. Yes. What I didn't mention is that beginning of this film, we quickly see, after he defeats Mandark, Dee prances through his laboratory, goes into the time machine, comes back out, and shortly afterwards, the robots show up. So if you're smart enough to figure it out, which I didn't figure it out at first, when I was a kid, I didn't figure it out. I'm going to admit it, I didn't figure it out right away. But if you're smart, like, watching this as an adult, I'm thinking, that's very obvious. It's very obvious if you're an adult. But as a kid, you're not going to know. But, yes, she does a little thing. She comes out of the time machine. She goes, ooh, what's this button do? And pushes it. That defeats Mandark. He explodes and becomes the brain from the future. The other versions of Mandark go away. And Dee has saved the world. Saved the future. And then she goes back in the time machine and it's over. And the Dexters are so angry that they build the robots. And I remember as a kid watching this, and they start building the robots, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. So build the robots, they send them back, destroy the one who saved the future. That's their words. And they send him back, and then they all say goodbye to each other. That's about 5 minutes or so. And Dexter goes back to his own time, but he goes back just a few minutes before he left to go to the future. And that's when he realizes, oh, I sent the robots back. And that's a little bit, you know. So what if, like, he's the one that sent the robots back, which kickstarted his own trip to the future. But, so, according to Doctor Who, that makes that a fixed point. That cannot change, or a paradox would happen. What if something happened? What if, like, take a left turn? No. What if that happened and he's just like, oh, I must save the future. I wonder why. I wonder how. And then just walks away and he doesn't even use the time machine. You know? Just, oh, I can't wait for that day, and just walks. Doesn't get curious, just walks off. Paradox. You know? I'm just saying. But I've always liked that twist. Oh, he built it. He built those robots the whole time. That's pretty cool. But then when you rewatch it and you have that in mind, it's sort of like, it works on the first watch, but in a second or third watch, it's kind of like, okay, we know this is happening. It's not as a big deal. But first time you watch it, it does kind of blow your mind. This whole thing was actually started by him and ended by him. And so, yeah. So, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's pretty good for a 90s kids TV film. What I believe was the first actual Cartoon Network original film. I believe. But yeah, he gets a 9. So what are your thoughts on Dexter's Laboratory Ego Trip? Leave it in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. I'll see you in the next one.